Welcome to the sixth and final video in our Exploring Scientific Method video series. This video is on the conclusion. What do we do with everything that we've done so far? Remember our previous experiment is a Mentos and Coke experiment, changing the type of soda. We made some initial observations, and from there we were able to ask a question. Does the type of soda affect the height of the reaction? Sometimes in the scientific method, we would now do a background step, which would be doing previous research to see what has happened elsewhere with this experiment, so we have an idea of what's going to happen. We didn't. We just simply moved on to the next step of identifying our variables. Our independent variable was the type of soda, the thing that, as the scientists, changed. The dependent variable was the height of the reaction, things as the scientists that we measured. Using our variables, we were able to write a hypothesis. Remember, our hypothesis is an if-then because statement that makes an educated guess about what you think is going to happen. Doesn't have to be right, doesn't have to be wrong, just is. From there, we wrote a procedure. Make sure to include in your procedure your materials list and your control variables. Remember, the only two things that are changing are your independent and dependent variable in the experiment. And we got to do the experiment. From doing the experiment, we gathered results. And we organized those results into a data table and into a graph. Our last step is what we do with the results, and that is our conclusion. Our conclusion is very important. It sums up everything and brings all the parts of the scientific method together. Every experiment that we do as scientists is adding to the puzzle that is the world around us. We're creating one tiny explanation. The most important part about coming up with an explanation is sharing your ideas. That's the reason we do the scientific method, is to share our ideas with other scientists. It's a template to get your ideas out there. As scientists, sometimes you share by doing lectures, large venues, small venues, doing a speaking engagement to talk about what you discovered. The internet is a new thing for scientists to share their ideas. There's tons of papers out there on the internet. The holy grail for scientists is to get published in a journal, such as Science, Cell, Nature. There's many of them. The steps of the scientific method are the template that we use to share our ideas. And any paper that's written for science is going to follow this same format, so we're able to talk from one paper to another. What we need to focus on now, we've done all the previous steps, is the end, where we need to analyze our conclusion, or analyze our data, and draw a conclusion. We need to say whether we support the hypothesis or we reject this hypothesis and communicate our results. The conclusion is where we summarize everything that's happened so far. There's 5 parts to a good conclusion. The first is, does the data support the hypothesis? We're going to literally write the hypothesis again and say, yes, it supports, no, it doesn't. The next step is to talk about your data. Just saying yes or no, supports, doesn't, this was better than that, doesn't do anything. In our experiment, we would talk about specific numbers of Coke versus Diet Coke versus Dr. Pepper. The numbers are important. Talk control variables. It's how other scientists know that you took into account that your experiment only changes the 2 variables. Finally, talk about what could have been done better. We're humans. Mistakes happen. There's ways to improve every experiment. Just talk about them. And finally, propose a future experiment. No scientist is one and done. I've done an experiment, I'm done, gotten everything I need to know. There's always a future question to move on to and to work with. Including all of these things in your conclusion allows another scientist, or your teacher, reading the paper, to know that you've thought about what you did and what it means. Right now I want you to pause the video, and I want you to write a conclusion, including these 5 things, for this experiment. This is my conclusion. It's not in complete sentence as yours is, but this is what I've got. I'm going to restate the hypothesis. My hypothesis was that Coke would work better, and my hypothesis is true. Coke had with 4 Mentos, 27 centimeters of height, and with 7 Mentos, 53 centimeters of height. Diet Coke only had 10 centimeters and 39 centimeters. I kept many things controlled. I kept the amount of soda and the number of Mentos the same. I did it all on the same day, so wind or something else did not play a factor. My future experiment would be what specifically about Coke makes it better than Mentos. I'm going to try to isolate the ingredients. Thank you for watching our video series on exploring the scientific method. Hopefully at this point you have a good grasp of the steps of the scientific method, why we do the scientific method, and how all of these steps interlock and work together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.